everyone, it's Angela Caban here. It's been a while since I've done one of these videos, mainly since the last video when I touched basis on a little bit about the different types of ways you can go back to school, how to find the school for you, as well as the post 9/11 bill that you could use either from your service member or for yourself. I've received a lot of emails throughout the past, it's almost been a year. Obviously, as most of you know, and I recently had a baby, so I've been a little busy, but I do want to take the time now to answer some of your questions that I have been receiving via email, because as most of you know, I did graduate in October with my bachelor's. That was October of 2011, and a week later I started my master's program. I'm going for my MBA in human resources. So being in graduate school, whether you're pursuing your bachelor's degree or you're going back to school as a graduate student, it all really just depends on how you prepare yourself before school. And I wish that I would have known a lot of these things before I went back to school, because not only was I kind of thrown back into the flow of trying to maintain my education, you know, my grades, homework, essays, all sorts of things, but on top of that I also have 2 children, a husband, and a house, as well as work, all that to take care of. So a little bit on, you know, why I decided to go for my graduate is some advice that I took from a friend is, if you want to do it anyway, which I knew I wanted to, just keep going. And I was a little hesitant at first because I graduated, I was 5 months pregnant, and I started school before I had my daughter. So when my daughter was born, it was actually right smack in the middle of classes. So that itself was very complicated, but being that I do attend an online graduate university, it did make it a lot easier for myself. I could communicate with my professors back and forth, explaining to them the situation. So I advise you, if you think that perhaps you can't handle going back to school, whether it is your bachelor's or your graduate, you know, it doesn't really matter what you're going for. Online schooling does have a little bit more of that flexibility, so you don't actually have to be on campus. I mean, you do have about double the amount of work, because I've noticed, you know, just in comparison with going to an actual brick and mortar and, you know, comparing that to an online school, there is a lot more entailed. But you do have a lot more flexibility to speak with your professors as well as your classmates. A lot of times, if you're in need to work on projects with other of your classmates, you could work something out with them and they can help you out as well. So that was the main thing that I wanted to make sure that I had, was that flexibility, because going back to school is very important, but I didn't want to lose my mind here at home with my children, as well as making sure that I did maintain and stay on top of everything that needed to be done here. Another question that I get a lot of is how I can afford to go back to school. Do I use my husband's post 9/11? Well, I do not use his post 9/11 because my husband is, he currently just exhausted his Montgomery GI, and he's actually using his own post 9/11 bill right now. So I didn't really have the option to use that because he is in school as well. So pretty much how I can afford to go to school is loans and grants. Now, because I am in the state of New Jersey and I am in an online school, I am not eligible for certain grants, as well as now that I'm in graduate school, there are no grants for me. So when I was getting my undergraduates, that was different. I did have the Pell Grant that came to me, which was very, it helped me out a lot. Do I have to pay anything out of pocket now? No, I actually do not have to pay anything out of pocket. All my loans, what I actually get, I get unsubsidized and subsidized loans, and I'll explain what that means in a minute. And I maximize them. In other words, I make sure that whatever loans I'm getting from the government are to the max, because I don't want to have to pay out of pocket at this time. When I'm out of school and the 6 months have passed, then I'll sit down and figure out what it is that I have to repay, which I know it's going to be a lot. But again, that's just that's between yourself and your spouse, or just if something that you don't want to have loan payments. If you say, well, I want to go back to school but I don't want to take out loans, just check out some other alternatives. The schools can be, especially if you are a military family, military friendly schools are very, very generous with their discounts. I get a 55% discount off my tuition with both my undergraduate and my graduate. Actually, no, my graduate is 46%. I don't even know how they come to that. but it's 46%. So it's still a great discount, because even if I didn't have the loans that I qualify for, I would probably just be stuck on making payments per semester, which wouldn't be too outrageous. But again, it's just based on your budget, and I suggest before making that final decision of saying you can't afford to go back to school, sit down and actually speak to a financial aid counselor from the university or the college, because a lot of times they can work out a budget with you and finagle the numbers around a little bit. And I actually have a friend who thought she couldn't go back to school, and after she spoke to the financial aid representative, she figured out, wow, I can go back to school. So it's you don't lose anything, and you don't have to pay any money to speak to them. They're there to help you. That's their job. So I suggest taking advantage of that. So the next thing was the Stafford subsidized loans and the unsubsidized loan. Like I said, I take them both. A lot of people say just take unsubsidized. The reason, and not unsubsidized, subsidized. Now the reason you would take subsidized is because that is based on your income, and you do not have to pay any interest while you're in school. If you take an unsubsidized loan, you do have to pay interest while you're in school, even though you don't have to pay back the loan, but the interest does accumulate, and that is not based on your income, like your financial needs. So the unsubsidized loans, again, if you can afford to make some payments, I believe my payments a month were anywhere from $180 to $200 a month. Now, the reason I say this as well is if you're going to take both loans out, just remember that you do have to make those payments for your interest, because if not, that accumulates and it goes on your credit report. And if you don't pay it, even though it doesn't go against showing that it's a negative per se, it does look negative if you're going to get a mortgage, or if you're going to get a loan on something else, or a car or a credit card. They're going to look at that and say, wow, she has a lot of interest accumulated and she hasn't made any payments, even though it's not in the negative part of your credit report. It's actually in your good standing accounts. And that was something that I didn't realize, and I wish I would have, but luckily once I did find that out, I caught up with my payments on that and took advantage of getting that cleared up, because again, it was hurting my credit without me even noticing it. So again, that's something that you need to discuss with your financial aid advisor or representative, just to see what types of tips they have for that. I mean, all schools are different. The amount that you can qualify for could be different amounts as well, and especially when it has to do with grants, the state that you live in also makes a big difference. So I suggest looking into that as well. Another question that I get a lot, and it's more of on a personal basis, it's not something that I can really answer and it be right for everyone, is do you really need to go back to school? Do you need that college degree? Do you need the master's? Do you need to go, anything past either an associate's or a bachelor's? And I always use the scenario that my husband used for me when we were discussing going back to school. I went back to school when my son was 2, my husband was being deployed, so I held a very good position in a large company, but I didn't have my degree. For someone that did not have her degree, I was actually within that range, the salary that you would think that for a position like that you would need it, but because I had so much experience in the human resources field, that's kind of where I got, in that field, in that position at the time. But right now, if you figure that with a high school diploma, the average person that has a high school diploma is making anywhere between $24,000, I think, to $25,000 a year. Of course, there's no guarantee with with or without the diploma that you are going to secure a job. But with a bachelor's degree, the average is $55,000 a year. So that doubles, which is fantastic. Again, there's no guarantee that once you do graduate you are going to find a job quickly, because again, there's a lot of factors. I mean, the economy, a lot of companies are just simply not wanting to pay for that, either the experience or the education that you might have. You might be overqualified, not qualified enough, as well as military spouses having the issues of finding positions if they're PCSing, for whatever reason they might have, or perhaps you have 4 kids at home and going back to work wouldn't really be good for you, because the amount of money that you would make in salary, you would end up having to pay for a babysitter. I mean, there's a lot of factors that you have to think about before making that decision. But what I always tell myself, well, it's mostly for myself and for my children, is continuing education is more than just me saying, okay, I want to get a great job and I want to make $150,000 a year. Although that would be nice, I do it more for myself. It's for my personal and for my professional growth, for what I want to do, either with the HUN website or even if I just want to do career services on the side, part-time. So again, that question is something that you really just need to discuss with yourself and with your spouse as to what you want to what do you want your degree to do for you, and what you're going to do vice versa. And again, also, deciding whether you're going to go back to school full-time, go back to school part-time. I started off with my undergraduate degree, and the first semester I did part-time, and then from there on I was full-time. Now with my graduate's degree, degree, I am doing part-time. I'm only taking 2 classes a semester as opposed to taking 4 or 5, because I just simply can't, for what is going on in my life, it's just impossible to have to really do that many classes. But again, it's just based on your needs with your family. So, another question that I get a lot is why, not why, but how long is it going to take? Well, if you figure that you're wasting the time anyways, and I'm not saying wasting like you don't have anything to do, but you're going to get old anyways, why not do something with that time? And even if you think, okay, well, maybe I want to go back for a certificate program or vocational studies, that is also great. That's continuing education. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go back for your master's or you have to have a PhD. I think it's mostly specializing in something within your field, whether you're a vet assistant, technician, medical assistant. There's all sorts of certificate programs that you can go for. Criminal justice even has one. I actually do believe that my university has a human resources and a business management one. So if you want to have something additional to add to your resume, that never hurts. When it comes to picking a school, I would highly suggest using the HUN's resources. Under our Career and Education Hub, we have military-friendly schools, as well as a list to provide you what types of schools do offer military discounts. Of course, that is always under the discretion of the school itself as to how much they are willing to take off of the tuition, the yearly tuition. So I would suggest checking that out. I'll provide the links below this video as well. We also have some great resources and articles on how to save money on textbooks. Again, if you're going to be going to an online college, a lot of times, or university, you'll have your virtual textbooks. Everything's online, or you can have them on your iPad or your tablet, whatever you have. Sometimes what I do is, I don't have an iPhone. I have, this is a Galaxy, a Samsung Galaxy phone, and I can get onto school right from my phone. So if I am on a business trip or stuck in traffic, whatever, if I have that little bit of spare time, I can log into school, do some discussions, or just go in there and check my assignments for the week, send my professor an email, call my professor. It's just very active with the school. You have a lot of ways to contact them. So I suggest using the resources on the HUN, and if you have any questions, you can also email myself at angela@angelacaban.com. I'll provide that email below. And again, leave us your comments below this video. Let us know what you want to see. If I didn't answer any questions that you may have had, I'm pretty sure, yeah, it looks like I got them all. Have them on my computer screen so I can remember them. Just feel free to put them either in the comment section here or shoot me an email, and we can most definitely answer those for you. All right, good luck on your journey through either continuing your education and bettering yourself, or doing something for you and for your family.